Hello, my name is Joe Bartow, and I'm the Program Manager for the Mid-Atlantic Submarine Talent Pipeline Program in support of the Program Executive Officer for Strategic Submarines, Admiral Scott Papano, and the Executive Director, Matt Sermon, and the Director of the Submarine Industrial Base, Whitney Jones. In 2021, we were hired to run this program based upon a proven model that we've developed over the last 20 years, working with companies to improve their talent acquisition and retention systems and to improve their overall performance of their businesses. So it's important as we start this program, an explanation of this program, that we understand the mission. So as you look at the mission, it is very focused on some very specific items that drive our mission and our behaviors every day. The first is that we're a team, and the team consists of three groups of people. The first group are employers. They're the demand side of the equation. The employers are the ones who have a need for talent and to retain that talent over the long term to meet the Navy's demand for the next 20 years. The second group are the career and technical education programs that have a pool of candidates with some skills that can be mined via a pipeline so that the employers can have access to a supply of candidates. So it's a very classic demand and supply challenge. The third group are the facilitators, who are in three groups. One is the industry associations like MMA, SACIBC, SIBC. Those give us access to employers in the defense industrial base, and specifically the submarine industrial base, who need this support and do not know about it. Second group are governmental agencies, workforce development boards, local, state, and federal workforce development organizations that provide resources to assist employers in finding the good talent, hiring them, and then retaining them as productive employees. Those three groups come together in a team around a supply-demand model that's focused around this fundamental hypothetical theory, which is, for the last 20 years, we've spent billions of dollars in America investing in workforce development programs to train people with skills and then hope they can find a job. This model that we're implementing here in the Mid-Atlantic Submarine Talent Pipeline Program is very much a demand-side model, which means we need to first work with the employers to understand specifically what their demands are, and then support and help them train and coach in order to build pipelines into those candidate pools that will mine good quality talent to meet their demands for our Navy's industrial needs for a long time. So this is an economic initiative, not a workforce development initiative. Our focus is helping employers improve their talent acquisition and retention systems by building pipelines so that they can run a better business and provide for more capacity to the Navy to meet their demands. So we started the program in March of 2021, and we went to the Philadelphia region because when the major supplier density maps were analyzed, Pennsylvania, starting in Philadelphia, represent the number one density of critical suppliers in the Navy industrial base, and specifically the submarine industrial base. We started there in March of 2021, and then quickly have been able to establish a program that is proving that it works by focusing on employers, creating those pipelines, And the success of that program after the first year gave the Navy the confidence to grow the program to 2 other flags or regions beginning in the summer of 2022. The first is in the Pittsburgh region, so that will cover basically eastern Ohio all the way to the Atlantic Ocean through central New Jersey. And then the third group, the third flag, will be in Hampton Roads of Virginia, which represents this mid-Atlantic region that represents the highest density of defense suppliers in the country. So we have, in order to bring that team together, we connect them with a concept of operations and a very deliberate program management structure. So it all starts with a demand signal meeting when we bring representatives from all 3 parts of the team, employers, CT programs, and facilitators, and we put them in a room with senior Navy officials and let them talk about their demand signal in that area. Why would we want to bring the talent pipeline program to this area? They talk about what needs to be done to make it customized to this specific operational circumstance. And at the end of that meeting, if the Navy feels that there's enough of a demand signal, then they will direct the program management structure to implement the program, which starts with the first major milestone of a kickoff meeting. At that kickoff meeting, each of the partners, employers, CTEs, and facilitators go to the podium and 1, say they support our mission, 2, they want to participate and partner, and 3, that they know that things have got to be customized for the local area that we're operating in. So it's all about customizing the model based upon the specific operational circumstance for that particular area. After the kickoff meeting, generally in the fall, September, we will do what we call a matching meeting. And that's where we do the work to really understand the demand from each of the employers, not only in numbers, but in the skill sets that they're looking for. And from there, we then match them with the appropriate CTE programs that would meet their demand. Also, we work with those employers via a training program to help them build other pipelines to meet their whole demand. For example, employer referral programs, how to better use social media to recruit experienced workers, all the pipelines that collectively will meet the demand for that employer to meet their specific requirements from the Navy. Then we go into the recruiting phase. The recruiting phase is when the employers begin the recruiting process to begin attracting the right candidates to their companies and to be a part of this one team of the Navy and the defense industrial base together to build these warships to meet the Navy demand. In around Christmas time, we lock down the group, and then we start in January with a transition to the hiring process. That's when the employers will take the applications that they've received during the recruiting phase. They will begin to process that, hold the interviews, make offer employment, do on-site visits. And at the end of that phase, around May, we have a signing day where each of the employers announces the new candidates that have accepted their offers of employment. That moves us into the second year of the program. Second year of the program is about the onboarding phase, which is that period between the time a candidate accepts an offer and their first day on the job. And then we track them for their first year on the job with the goal for each employer of it's not how many you hire, it's how many you keep as productive employees in the workplace. And we track that and we measure that, and that is truly our graduating class, which is the class of young people or new candidates that have passed their first year anniversary. On the core foundation of all the data and research tells us that if somebody makes it through their first year anniversary, the probability they'll stay for a long period of time is high. Most of the attrition occurs in the earlier parts of their tenure with an employer, generally because the young person or the new candidate either didn't understand the work or the employer really didn't understand them. So basically, we help them through a best practice model that reverses the thinking of how do we recruit people based upon attracting the right candidates, and is that candidate somebody interested in joining your company? Then we try to find the right spot for them based upon their skills, and then coach and train them to be successful in the first year. So when you look at the best practice model, it all starts with the generation of the demand signal. When we first meet with companies, we look at their assessment, which is, what is your demand? And we discovered that the demand is usually in two categories. One are experienced workers, and the second is entry-level workers that basically the criteria is, will they come to work every day? Do they want to learn? Do they want to be part of a team and be special? What we then do is help that organization understand what pipelines that they want to mine in their local area in order to meet their demand. Then we help build them the tools. So a realistic job preview to better assess candidates in the initial part of the recruiting program. How do you do behavior-based interviews? How do you do offers and interviews during the same day so it is a rapid attraction and closing process for the new talent? How do you then track them after a world-class first day to get them to confirm the decision they made by coming to your company? And then how do we get them to common skills training so they can be successful on their first day, and then match them to the actual jobs that they're going to do and attract them to their first day? Also, we provide leader training for those leaders that the new people are going to be assigned to in their first job. And what we want to really focus on there is that their job is to help those new people become successful and what they have to do to make them successful, as opposed to encouraging them to fail. So it's the best practice model. The best practice model is then customized depending upon your specific need in order for you to produce a system that creates a reliable year-over-year talent pipeline. So to be in the program, each employer has to meet 7 criteria. First one is do you have a hiring demand 12, 24 months in the future? If you need 30 people tomorrow, you won't find them in this program. This is a strategic look at building a systematic program to meet your demand into the future. Also, are entry-level candidates part of your recruiting profile? Many companies, in fact, have a demand that they need only experienced people. And if you're going to do that, you're going to have to build another pipeline that's specifically focused on that population. What we have learned over the last 30, 20 years, and specifically over the last 3 or 4 years, is that the biggest hiring demand is for those entry-level candidates who will want to spend a lifetime in your companies. The third is, do you offer a full-time job with benefits? Are you willing to commit to that new candidate and show them that they want to be in your company and that you're not making it difficult for them economically to join your business? Do you accept responsibility that you have to actually train these new people to do your work and to recognize that there is no such thing as a plug-and-play candidate? All of our businesses are so unique that the probability that you do work similar to that in another company, that you can do it in yours, is really minimal. So we know that we've got to invest in training those people to do the work that you specifically do, and do you accept that responsibility as an employer? The next is, are you willing to come to training? And when you come to the training on the best practice model, and also we train you on all the tools that are available to you to help you build that high performance talent acquisition and retention pipeline, out of that training, we want you to be able to understand your gaps. So is it recruiting that you're challenged with? Is it the actual hiring process? It's the onboarding period? Or is it the retention period for the new hires? Once you come to the training, you then can request our support to come and do individual training and coaching at your facility with your team to help you fill those gaps and produce a system that will meet your demand. Are you willing to substantively change how you do your work to ensure that your talent acquisition retention system is meeting your demand? What we're trying to avoid here is the people who want to make talent acquisition not their problem. The Navy will not provide you a list of qualified resumes and hope they join your company. This is clearly a teach you how to fish program, not fish for you. But in exchange for our support, you've got to be willing to do something different. And that's part of this data-driven analysis that we help you through initially so we can come up with a performance improvement plan to ensure that we're not following the definition of insanity, which, as we all know, is doing the same thing over and over again, hoping for a different outcome. Finally, will you give us access to data? So we need to know the data on your performance system, and we'll talk about the metrics here in a minute so that we can share best practices and lessons learned with other employers in the defense industrial base and really make this a service to attract more people to the defense industrial base, because not only are we helping you with providing you the work, but also these wraparound services, of which talent acquisition and retention is a really critical one. We also recognize that employers fall into 4 categories. Small, under 50 people, hire about 10 people a year. Medium, between 51 and 300, that hire between 30 and 50 a year, maybe more, maybe a little less. Then we have the ones that are between 300 and 1,000 that actually have a hiring demand probably every month. And then we have the enterprise organizations that are the real big companies that have a huge hiring demand in this area. Our focus is on the small and medium-sized companies. Often these are companies that belong to a bigger company, but actually their hiring demand is done at the local level. So a big company may have 30 plants. 20 of those plants are in the small or medium-sized category, and those are the companies that are really focused. We also do that because we know that somewhere around 75 or 80% of the total work done in the Navy submarine industrial base is done by small and medium-sized businesses, often in that second, third, fourth tiers to the major shipbuilders, and they're also the ones that need the most help in the talent acquisition and retention systems arena. So our mission is in that level and to really focus our resources to support those employers. Now, once you're in the program, we start to categorize your performance in the program as well. The first category are the performing. Hey, they came to the table, they recognized they had a problem, we were able to do some training and coaching, came up with a performance improvement plan, and now they're well on the way to building reliable year-over-year talent pipelines. The second are the improving. And these are the ones that know they need to change, but change is not as always easy as it looks. For the last year that we've worked with a lot of employers in the Philadelphia region, we have realized that we've often met the enemy and they are us. There's a lot of people in your company that affect the talent acquisition and retention system, senior management, hiring managers, operations, human resources, recruiters. All of them have got to do something in this process, from the generation of a labor requirement through a new employee's anniversary of their first year on the job. And often it takes a while to coalesce that group around a common mission. And those are the folks we put in the improving category. Primarily, those are the ones that we're helping on a daily basis get over those barriers in order to get to the place they want to be. Third category is what we call the deferred. And those are the ones that join the program without really understanding what we're trying to accomplish. And once they get involved in it, it's either they don't have really a hiring demand, or they've lost the organizational energy, or the situation needs to be improved in other areas before they can join the program. And so often they'll defer for a year and then come back the next year as we go through the program. As you look at how we keep score, and it's important we have these metrics at each phase because we want to demonstrate that we're making a difference. So it all starts with a pledge. That means, do you have a hiring demand for the next year? Are you trained? Have you attended the training and have the key stakeholders in your company understand what we're trying to accomplish? And then at the end of phase one, it's how many applications you've received. That represents the end of the recruiting period. The end of the hiring period is the number of accepted offers. The next metric is the number that actually start on their first day. And then the final metric is the number that stay for their first year on the job. So, what happened in Philadelphia? 33 employers hired 213 people in that first year of the program between May of 2021 and May of 2022. Of those, we have 28 that are in the performing category and are moving in the right direction, and we have 5 companies that deferred. So we know the model works, and those 28 companies proved that it worked by building the pipelines appropriate to them, and they're now into the second phase of the program, which is the onboarding and the first year retention phase. So then we move to the second category of partners, and that's the career and technical education programs. So if you're a career and technical education program, then you also have a set of criteria you have to meet in order to be in the program. First one is, do you actually have programs that are in the critical shipbuilding skills? Machining, welding, carpentry, goes to the ship fitting arena, metrology, those core skills. Do you have programs there? Because we want those programs to be the pipeline into these trade-specific jobs. Is interacting with employers to find work for your candidates or your graduates part of your mission statement? If it's not, or all you're interested in is getting people to graduate with a certificate, we know that the majority of CTE programs have a mission to help interact and find jobs for their candidates. Often they don't have the network to do that. We provide that support. Third is, will you attend a talent acquisition and training workshop to understand your critical role in the nature of this program? In the CTE programs, what we call the heartbeat leader are the instructors. When the instructors know the program and know the power of the program, and they know the candidates, and they're able to match the candidates to the appropriate jobs, the magic happens. So we spend a lot of time training instructors on that role, not only the instructors, but the building principals and the other leadership in the CTE programs that need to be involved in that process. Will you share and have substantive engagement with the employers through the year? Will you invite them to the classrooms? Will you go to their plants to see what they do, so that you're having a better understanding of the demand and you can better customize the supply? Will you pre-screen the candidates? So we also know that in these career and technical education programs, many of those students don't intend to enter the workforce. So we would expect the career and technical education programs to screen them on the number one criteria is, do you intend to enter the workforce? And then, do we think you have the appropriate basic skills in order to be a successful employee? And that puts you into the pool, because we want the employers to be able to recruit in a pool of qualified candidates. Not the highest skilled, but the best qualified candidates who will have the best opportunity to work into the workplace. And then supporting the candidate's preparation. Things like application completion, interviews. We know that for at least initial entry into candidates, the number one factor of a hire or no hire decision is how they perform in the interview. They don't have really any experience to disqualify them, so the employers are trying to determine if they have good workplace skills, want to come to work, and want to learn. Are you willing to adjust your curriculum based upon the demands that you see from the employers so that you're better matching and providing as much training as possible to those candidates based upon their company of choice? And then finally, will you give us access to data? We got to have the data to understand not only why young people are successful, which is the most important, so that we can replicate that to the other programs and the other employers and CTE programs that we're working with. So we look at the metrics for the CTEs are certainly the capacity of your programs, the number of students you can hold. Have you been trained by the program management team on your role in the program? How many screened candidates do you have in your pool? How many accepted applications? And then the number that become that new hire for that employer. That critical part of the network there is getting them to the point of having an accepted offer ready to go into the workplace is critical, and that's what we feel is the responsibility of the CTE programs. So as we look at this ecosystem then and this pipeline notion, in Philadelphia we built this model that basically shows the blue are the employers and the red are the CTE programs. So we spend a significant amount of time during the recruiting phase and prior to the recruiting phase in matching the employers with the candidate pools that appear to meet their demand. And that happens during that matching meeting I mentioned earlier in the presentation. And the result of that is these connections. We feel like if we make those connections in a powerful way and we mine those pipelines, then they become solid pipelines year over year. So it's kind of, just common sense. If I hire a great young person out of one CTE program and they are extremely successful in my company, then we send them back into that program and say, bring me the next person that's going to be successful in our company as well. That's this notion of a sustainable talent pipeline into your business. The third group is the facilitators. Their pledge to be a part of the program is to advocate. Advocate for the program to their networks of employers. And we find that the network of employers is very diverse. Nobody, or rarely, do you have somebody that only does defense contracting work. We've discovered there's many people in the defense industrial base that don't even know they're in the defense industrial base because they may be a third or fourth, fifth tier supplier. These associations help us connect with them. Also, they use their platforms for us to be able to share best practices and lessons learned. There are meetings, association meetings, workshops. We support them in every way we possibly can to share what we're doing. And we're there in three groups. The associations, MMA, NDIA, SIBC, ACIBC, and others. We have the governmental agencies, the workforce development boards, local, federal, state, and there are a lot of those. The third group is the primary shipbuilders, Newport News, and Electric Boat. And there are other large organizations that have a significant supply chain of their own that are a direct tie to the defense industrial base. So what do you get? What's the Navy pay for? The Navy pays for what we're doing now. New partner identification, orientation, assessment, and then bringing them into the program. We don't want people to come in the program without an understanding of what it is. And then the second one is we do monthly all hands information sharing and best practice sharing. That's an open virtual meeting once a month. We do talent acquisition, retention, training workshops. We do that and we customize those workshops based upon the environment and the situation. We also include some best practices and the other resources that can help you. Once you attend those workshops, you then can request for individual coaching and support. We spend a lot of time out in your facilities, at your plants, helping you work through the issues to build a better system. We actually have $1 set aside to do best practice models, where we will go into companies and actually modernize their entire process, with our payback being that those companies will then become part of our instructional staff to help us teach other people how to do and how to improve your systems. Then, of course, there's the program management, industry engagement, and strategic planning. It's basically a 4-year program for any of the regions that we're operating in. The first year of the program is planning preparation. Second year of the program is recruiting and hiring. Third year of the program is onboarding and retention. Fourth year of the program is we will identify a local program management organization who will then take the program and grow it and sustain it under the umbrella of the overall MAST program management function, so that we can retain the integrity of the program while it's being implemented locally. So as we wrap up, we have a core outcome metric. And this program is about teaching employers how to build a reliable year-over-year talent pipeline. We often are asked, how many jobs are you going to produce from the program? My answer to that is I don't care. If I go after only number of employees, I'm only going to work with the big companies because they hire a lot of people. What I'm interested in is those small, medium-sized businesses, again, representing 75 or 80% of the total work. There's a tremendous number of them, and if I can teach those companies how to build a reliable pipeline, I never have to teach them again. They'll continue to do that and build that capacity that the Navy desperately needs to meet our demand. So at the end of the day, this is really not a talent acquisition and retention program. This is a leadership program. It starts with the senior leaders of organizations recognizing that in today's environment, you just can't put an ad in the paper and have 100 people show up ready to work. You've actually got to recognize that we're at full employment in America, that people have choices, and that the reason they'll come to your company is not by the job you offer them, but by the company experience you give them. There's two types of companies in America. One is the victims, who always have a reason on why they can't hire people. Also, generally because they enter the marketplace with a job rec that says, I need somebody with 10 years of experience, I'm willing to pay them this much. Those systems are not working, and they will never work in this job market today. The best companies in America realize that it's about their culture. It's about what makes them special, and it answers the question, why would you come work in my company and spend a career helping us build America's future warships? Then finding a place for them based upon their skills so they can spend a career in your company with a successful career for them, good job, and meeting the demands of your organization. Matt Sermon, who's the executive director, when he speaks to this program, says we're a program of yes. So our job as the program management team is to go find companies who need help and want help and help them. In exchange for that help, they've got to do something different, and they've got to show us how they have used those tools to improve the performance of their business so that they can meet the cost, schedule, quality, safety requirements to build our warships of the future. So we're on a mission. This is not a call to action program. We're not going to sit around and talk about how hard this is and woe is me. We are actually in the business of doing stuff. And the doing stuff we do is we help through a very rigorous program management structure. Companies change the way they do talent acquisition and retention to meet their demands. And we start one employer, one job, one lifelong productive engaged teammate at a time. It's not just hiring people, it's hiring great people that are going to help your business for a long time. That's the goal. In fact, we all know that we cannot out-hire a bad retention system. So this is what we're trying to see this as and help you see it as. It's not just a transactional process, but it's core to your business. So at the end of this, next steps of one, does this make sense? If it makes sense and you can understand what the commitment is you're going to have and you want to participate, then we need you to contact us so that we can come out and sit down with you, either virtually or in person, and better understand your demand and the performance of your current system as you enter the program. If yes, we'll schedule that assessment, and then you can enter the program during the fall period or the recruiting period, and we'll begin to match you. This program is based upon employers and your need to solve probably the biggest problem you have facing your business today. It's not infrastructure, it's not capital investment, it's how do I find the right people and keep them. That's what we're about. And we're excited to hear from you. We're excited about this program. We're excited to grow it. And we are so happy that we have got this ability to partner with companies like yours to make a difference for our country and our Navy. Thank you.